Thank you for joining us on Your Fault for Watching for Twat Talk Tuesdays with Her Honus and the Big Funny.
This is Twat Talk. So, what is something that far too many women are afraid to talk about loudly that you are not?
Oh, I mean, I've qualified. I need to stop saying I mean so much. It's the ghetto girl coming at me. Uh, I would say I'm out and proud just about everything, and consistently my female friends have to look at me and be like, Lydia, please don't say that. Please don't say that out loud. I've had my girls be like, you're not going to say that on Facebook to everybody, right? And I'm like, I mean, I can't. One of the largest topics I would say is I'm super comfortable looking at talking about my vagina. Just in general, I have very little vagina shame in the totality of it. I'm super comfortable with it like it's an extension of my family. Like I have conversations with my vagina. I have straight had to take her on walks before on a date, Like she's down there chiming in as he's talking about making chicken parmesan from scratch, and I'm sure he can hear it at this point. Like, I'm ready. She's done. She's ready to go home with him. Like, we don't need to finish the dinner that he's paying for if he can make chicken parmesan. But I also considered myself the twat shot expert for years. I got really good at, like, staging my own vagina for photographs, right? Because I wasn't going to let dudes be the only ones to send unsolicited genital pictures. Which, again, that's some bad home math, right? Because here I am, like, fans only, sending away free fucking pictures of my vagina.
You're right. People would pay for that. There was a comedian one time, and she had like big titties, and like she would go on stage and kind of like lean over, and I'm thinking you're really fucking up, because the women in the audience who aren't attracted to you, who are with a man who might be attracted to you, ain't gonna be able to laugh at you while their man is oogling you, right? I said to her something like, why don't you get a website? If you're feeling bad about doing, stuff for money, just give half the money for charity and call it Titties for the Kids. you know, you could do, you could do.
At this point, I'm about ready to like pull a time machine catfish and just sell pictures of my old vagina, like when she was in her 20s.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
That's different than selling pictures of her now. Like there's some separation there.
I'm trying so hard to not start making up descriptions that I don't know. You say because you know what I mean. Like all I've heard you said like on the previous twat talk was something about big lips, and I was like, well, do you call your twat Jimmy Walker? Do you? Dynamite.
No, I said absence of big lips was my thing.
Oh, absence of big lips. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Good. Okay, because
I like to think of we are walking around with our vaginas on our face, because all the muff that I've dived, when I sat there and looked at it like eye to eye long enough, I was like, oh, you really do look like Jennifer's face.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lot like when we look at people's dogs and we're like, oh, the dogs look a lot like the owners. Well, your vagina looks a lot like your face, actually.
So which comes first? Your vagina looking like you're trying to look like your face?
From what I'm reading, Travis, apparently you don't come nothing if you're concerned with the way your vagina looks. I've been doing some reading today, and apparently one of the top reasons for women's inability to reach orgasm is sectorating. They are concerned with the way their anatomy and or body looks in the act of sex.
So let me get this straight. Are you saying that more women could come easier if the parties agreed to leave the lights off?
I mean, I'm going to take it a step further and be like, if you know that this is your issue, you start blindfolding him. He will be all up for it. He'll be like, okay,
Oh yeah,
all right.
blindfold him. Yeah, blindfold him.
Yeah, right?
Well,
Like, if that's the deal, girl, like, fucking
well, Red Fox
turn
said.
him around. I don't know. Like,
Oh, Red Fox said. He said, "When the lights go out, nothing matters but the grip." Right? Or but it could be there are other things that would matter. That's little. That's just for the quick joke. Welcome to the show, Sean. Sean's here. You don't. So we'll just continue. Sean will talk when he wants to and when he can. Sean
I
don't
was
come in
surprised.
gangbang busters.
I was surprised to read, according to Women's Magazine and a PubMed article, that only 10 to 40% of women reach orgasm regularly in partnered sex experiences.
So most of the time they do it solo.
Well, yes, there was a lot more indication that even women who have trouble reaching orgasm in a partnered situation tend to have more success in masturbation, which I was like, well, yeah, everybody knows their own stroke. And if you don't know your own stroke, you should know your own stroke. Like,
you
that's
got
like
to know
the
your own
first
stroke.
step to the good one.
No, that's the first step. Look, knowing your own stroke is the first step to self-love. Knowing your own stroke, right? You got to know your own stroke. Like, I've been jacking off so long. I'm now. I'm all the way to the left hand now. I got the left. I'm strictly lefty.
Would you say that women are as apt to admit or fess up to masturbating?
Maybe to
As men
other
are?
women, but not to guys. Look, guys will tell other guys, but some guys don't want to hear that shit. But way more guys. Guys learn about sex from other guys. Women learn from books. Or where do women learn from? Are there women? You know what I mean? I'm asking a question, literally, for real. Like, do women learn?
I mean, you're right. We do research for sure. I think I passed out a blowjob at like 15 that was called decent. And the word decent fucking haunted me forever. So, like, I was that 16-year-old at Barnes & Noble buying the Kama Sutra and, like, Friedman's Study of Sexuality and, like, all of this shit, trying to fucking, like, research my way to, like, fellatio Olympics. But I think I didn't actually learn until I was, say, like, in my clinical hours of operation, Like, I actually had to have dick and mouth to figure it out. The books didn't help as much.
So are you saying that you can't learn how to suck? Let me start over again. I can edit that. Are you saying, Lydia, that you can't learn how to suck a dick without a dick around?
In your mouth, at least. It's it's like learning to drive a manual. Like, right. You can't be doing it unless you got your hand on the shifter.
There you go. There you go. You got to put your hand on the stick.
And I would say that that's the same practice even with like masturbation or like female orgasm. Like, the more you do it, the better you get. And studies are even indicating I finally have hope for my 50s. Because most women report in their 20s that only like 25% of the time do they reach orgasm. By their 30s, they're saying 40 to 50%. And by your 50s, 75%. I was like, God damn, that looks great. Like, so you mean that shit grays out, but it gets better? Cool.
And also, what it also means is the learning curve is a mother. Right? Because if it takes for you to get into your 70s to figure out your own stuff, and you know what it is? Maybe by the time a woman is in her 70s, she starts getting some of that testosterone, where your mustache gets thicker and you just don't give a fuck. Right? You don't give a shit.
Well, that
nobody thinks.
Actually happens. It's not that you get more testosterone. It's that you lose your estrogen.
Yes.
And so your testosterone and estrogen levels start to reach a similar wave. And the first drop is in your 30s. And oh, damn, did I feel it. Like, everybody told me it was going to be like that. They were like, oh, you sweet little 23-year-old, you just wait until you're in your 30s. You're going to be hungry, right? And I was like, what do you
Hungry for
mean? I
dick?
have
Is
sex
that what
all
you
the
mean?
time. I like
Hungry for
sex.
sex
Sex
or
is great.
hungry for
Oh,
what?
yeah. Hungry for dick, right? Like, that was, and I just couldn't believe that I was going to be worse than in my teens or my 20s. Like, I was in my 20s. So,
Right.
but I remember this kind of month, I think it took, where I just like woke up every day and I was like, you know what would be great today? Some dick. You know? It was no longer just like this momentary passing thought throughout the day, like chocolate or video games. It wasn't like, hey, dick. It was purposeful. It was every morning. I was waking up and I was like, hey, I wonder who's jogging Green Lake right now. I could sit and smoke from the street and watch him.
So is that because you spent a time being sheltered and then you maybe I'm making an analogy to
No.
basketball. Like Michael Jordan said that it took like 7 years to get to the championship. Like he had to get past Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and all of them, Detroit, Isaiah. But he said once he learned how to win, right? So like, was there a time when you figured out that guys were easier than you thought previously?
Easier for what would be the next
Easier to
question.
get them to do what you wanted them to do.
Oh, well, I mean, yes, life just taught me that. I grew up around women. Women are difficult.
Mm.
And I was bisexual, and I had quite a few relationships when I was younger with women, and it was obvious that in relationships with women, there was just going to be a lot more talking. Um, and with men, there's kind of an unfair advantage into having serious talks. Like, if I want to avoid having a serious talk with my boyfriend, I just, like, my blouse starts falling off miraculously, and I just can't keep it on.
Is
Dudes don't really have that. Like, they can't just be giving you a peek at their boxers for you to, like, lose track of your argument. Like, you already know what you're about to say. It doesn't matter if he's naked as fuck.
right. If I'm
Uh,
irritated with you and all of a sudden the areola makes its way through the
yeah, you might be irritated with me, but you ain't irritated with my titties.
no,
Like,
right.
that's,
If my dick is like,
I
hey,
figured that
we
out
ain't in
young.
this, we ain't in this. It's my time. You can be mad
Yeah.
tomorrow breakfast, motherfucker. Bring that shit back up if you remember it. If I let you remember it. Um,
And because I'm twatty of a personality, I've dated several a man that has like exclaimed something to the effect of like, I would like to like choke you and fuck you at the same time, but neither of those two things are relatable. Right? Like, they didn't want to like, choke me. They wanted to like, they hated me. They hated me as a human, but they still wanted to fuck me. So realizing that men don't really have to like you to fuck you was the first thing that was like, oh, well, that makes things really easy.
right. You don't have to make. Oh, you're right. Because then you don't have to waste any time trying to get them to like you.
Yep,
Right.
not even a little bit.
So how
No, and
many
in fact,
women
I've found
waste
some of the
time?
best sexes from men that don't like me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Damn. That's deep. Sean's over there taking notes silently. No,
Well, like, I had this coworker for years that we had like such an adversarial relationship up
did,
until we started fucking.
did you
I
say
mean,
toe
like, we
worker?
just hated each other, and we would argue in meetings, and like, he was so detestable as a human. He was just this white wigger, like, but also listened to Limp Bizkit type of weed grower that I just can't stand.
Mm.
But for some reason, the sex was great. I just had to ignore the whole time that he was who he was. Um,
You are the
but again, I'm not one
commenter.
for conversating, so
You're not me during the sex.
yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah. No,
I don't.
no.
That's not talking time. If you need to use your mouth, I have other options.
Hello.
Um,
This is Twat Talk Tuesday, and that's her wholeness on Your Fault for Watching, and Your Fault for Listening, and the Your Fault for Watching network of shows. Twat Talk. Let's get
What
twatty,
talk?
right? Let's get twatty. Okay, let's get twattier. So, let's go back. So, guys don't know that a lot of times a woman says no is just because she don't want you looking at her, or don't want to be thinking about you looking at her, or can't stop thinking about you looking at her.
Well, she has real concerns with the way she looks in that minute. I mean, which is like the sad but true remark. Like every woman wants to be told if she's getting down that she's pretty. Like if you just keep telling her she's pretty, like that's sploosh, sploosh. You know, like why do you think all the rom-coms like Leonardo DiCaprio comes up to the woman, you know, palms on both sides of her face, looks deeply in her eyes and says, "You're beautiful," right? And every woman in the audience is like, "Sploosh." Because sex is more about us than it is about you guys. Surprise. Surprise.
Wow.
Which is also funny because I've watched myself have sex before, and even my partners look ridiculous. Like, unless you get paid for a living to have sex on film, like, there's going to be awkward moments of you having sex. Like, nobody's O-face is aesthetic.
You're right. Basically, one of the most, there are a lot of phrases and that are true and not true, or kind of true. But one of the most true phrases ever is bumping uglies. Bumping uglies is so good on so many levels. Because people, when having sex, a lot of times make faces. Maybe that's, oh, wait a minute, Lydia. Maybe that's the reason why fucking somebody you don't like works. Because
Yeah, you already hate that face. You
yeah,
already
you
hate
already
that
hate that
face.
face. So when they make that ugly face, yeah, right there, yeah, make that fucking face you be making in the fucking. So, but also, a lot of times, people in like a work situation will pretend not to like somebody they want to fuck, so nobody at work gets a sniff that they're fucking.
In my situation, we got more volatile in some respects because we were fucking, but that was more to do with the fact that he was a slimy bastard and I was fucking a slimy bastard, so that created problems, you know? And I do not advise fucking people at work. It makes things super complicated for you to do your job, and compartmentalization is our friend. But it just went to serve for me at the time where I was like, this is a despicable human. Why do I keep fucking them? And at one point I even told him, I was like, man, I only hit you up when I'm like 3 steps up from suicide. So don't think too much of yourself.
It's
And
funny.
he, you know, he still hits me up.